Okay, welcome all to the City of Deltona Planning and Zoning Board of Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. I will call the meeting to order. Eric Alexander, Chair. Can we have roll call, please?
Member Gonzalez?
Present.
Member Pfeffer?
Present.
Member Rodriguez? Member Sixma?
Here.
Secretary Amoroso?
Here.
Vice Chair Burke?
Present.
Chair Alexander?
Here.
Alternate Cardo?
Present.
That's it? We're good? All right. Next thing up for is approval of the minutes and the agenda from September 20th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those?
We have.
And are there any comments, or is there a motion to pass the
If
minutes?
nobody has any comments on them, it looks like it's approval to me from what I've read through it. Make a motion that we approve the minutes from Wednesday, September 20th, 2023 meeting.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right, it is approved for minutes of September 2023 and signed. Presentation awards reports, do we have any? I don't believe so. Nope. Okay, great. Public forum. Do we have anybody that has signed up at this point? Not, that doesn't relate to the item at hand? Nope. Great, terrific. All right, any old business that anyone has? There's nothing on the list? Anybody? No? Okay, we'll move right ahead to our new business. Ordinance number 01-2024, amending the recording development agreement and master development plan for the Bella Vista Business Planned Unit Development. Removing sections 4 through 9 and making changes to sections 14 and 17 in the development agreement approved by ordinance number 10-2013. Now, do you have any other business that you would like to bring up first, or are you getting to talk about this now?
I'm presenting this.
Okay, please continue.
I'm actually going to turn it over to Marcia to swear in anyone speaking about it.
That's, oh, is there anybody
Yeah.
that you need to swear in?
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
please
so what
do.
I'm going to do is I'll swear in anyone that needs to be sworn in, and then we'll also then go back to you to ask for ex parte communications.
Gotcha.
And then at that point, then Jessica can make her presentation.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak before the, please stand and raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any one of in here on the council or on the board that has any ex parte issues with this property?
I've drove by the land, the lot.
Everybody.
Jeremiah, yeah.
I know, we've been told that even that should be disclosed, so.
I'm familiar with the property from a long way back, but I have no connections to it, so. Okay. Terrific. May we move ahead?
All right, good evening, Planning and Zoning Board. As you know, I am Jessica Entwistle, I'm Planner 1 at Planning Development Services. Ordinance 01-2024 is a major amendment to the Bella Vista BPUD. The application requests to update the master development plan and modify the development agreement approved by ordinance number 10-2013. The new DA removes section 4 through 9, makes changes to section 14 and 17, updates the owner information, and replaces the spine road with cross-access, and overall brings the DA up to date. The Bella Vista BPUD is located at 120 Howland Boulevard, which is across the street from the Walmart off Howland and State Road 415. The parcel is approximately 12.37 acres. The original BPD allows for commercial, retail, medical offices, hotels, and more uses. The original DA required the landowner to the east to connect to the spine road and join the property owner association, although they were not part of the BPUD or associated with the BPUD. This is the existing zoning and aerial image. This was provided within the agenda as well. Right. The original ordinance in 2008 was approved by City Commission, although the owners did not sign the DA, and it was not recorded. In 2013, the owner did come back to the city to amend the DA to add additional permitted uses and restricted uses. The 2013 DA also addresses buffers, setbacks, and other regulations. All right, and this is the 2013 Master Development Plan. As you can see, the spine road goes through the middle of the parcel to the back. And this is a picture of the new Master Development Plan showing one access off Howland Boulevard and a lot layout. The cross access will be done through the plat or the final site plan. Matters of consideration are items that we look at when considering approval of projects. This project is consistent with the comprehensive plan and compatible with the area, as it was already zoned BPUD. With the removal of the spine road, circulation will flow there and there'll be less cuts through Howland Boulevard. It's important to note this amendment does not add or change the land or uses within the BPUD. The uses within the BPUD will align with the city's economic development goals by expanding economic opportunities while increasing tax revenue to the city. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Board recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 01/2024, amending the Bella Vista BPUD by removing sections 4 through 9, making changes to section 14 and 17 in the development agreement and the overall master development plan. And do we have any questions?
Yes, I do. What was the reason the previous owners, they got it approved and didn't sign off on it? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that they did a plat even after the 2018 that was approved.
Yeah, okay.
And what, do anybody else have, please? Our Commissioner, excuse me. I was thinking of you, Tuck. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Board member.
Jessica, do you know offhand if the lift station is going to be private or public?
I believe it is private.
Okay, thank you.
So I didn't hear the question. I heard the answer. What was the question?
The question was if the lift station was going to be private or public.
Thank you.
And what happened, Chair Alexander speaking, what happened to the HOA issue? I never understood why they even, the Property Owners Association, isn't all that land in the back? Well, this might be an answer for the attorney, but because that was all Pell property back there, and where was the association at? I didn't understand that part of the requirement. It required the landowner to the east, which is the Pell property, right, to connect to Spine Road. That I can see, but join the property owners that that the new project establishes, they were going to make Mr. Pell, because he had a road there, join the.
Yes.
Well, maybe. Pardon?
That's the wrong parcel, the Leahy parcel that was in on this agreement.
And that's not a part of this agreement now?
The Pells were not part of that agreement. It was
No.
a different parcel called the Leahy property that.
Mr. Chair, if this gentleman.
Yes, we need to bring him to the podium.
Yes.
You have to come to the podium, say your name and all that, which we will give you a chance here. Right first, me, and you can answer my questions. Is there any other board members that have any questions? Dr. Pfeffer.
I saw a map that had the kind of a non-use area along Howland, and I can't quite find it, but it had stormwater ponds and stuff, and now it's got lots. So what happened to the idea that there was stormwater retention along Howland?
Well, these we'll look at during the preliminary plat, the stormwater ponds and stuff like that. We normally look at that through the preliminary plat or the final plat.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
The stormwater ponds we normally look at during the preliminary plat or final plat.
I mean, there's a map here with 2013 MDP, it's that one, and it's got two areas, a stormwater thing, and what it's called a future development area, but I saw an earlier map that had the whole line with no future development. That was all stormwater retention and not being able to be used. So I'm curious as to what's the hydrology of the place? I mean, what's going on?
And if there's anything you'd like to refer to,
I can refer to the applicant for that.
all right. So if you hold your, we'll have an answer from someone else. Okay. So,
I have questions.
yes.
What was
Vice Chair Burke, please.
What was removed from sections 4 through 9?
The Spine Road,
That was it?
yes.
Thank you. That was it for me,
Okay.
too.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the property owner, please?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Darren Elkind. My professional address currently is 142 East New York Avenue in DeLand, although I would add that for the vast majority of my professional career, it was at 505 Deltona Boulevard. It is my pleasure to be here in front of you. I have for many years represented Halifax Health, and I'm going to give you, I wrote down the questions about stormwater and lift station. I'm going to talk to you about the access road and the reason for that change. But first, if I can take just a couple of minutes and give you some history on why is Halifax Health here before you, and why do they own this property. So in 2013, sometime prior to 2013, Halifax entered into a couple of different interlocal agreements with the city of Deltona. Obviously, it's Halifax's mission to serve the needs of the residents, certainly of their district, which is primarily in Daytona, but to all of Volusia County and all of East Central Florida. And the purpose of the interlocal agreements was a desire on this community to bring more health services to the residents of the community. So we have, as you know, opened up a number of different facilities in Deltona, most recently the hospital at the other end of Howland. And we bought, I say we, it wasn't my money, Halifax bought this site in 2013, or negotiated for the purchase from the then owner, who's also a developer, who's probably known to you folks in the community. And they had an existing PD, and we asked them to change it for the purpose of putting in, adding some medical uses to it and adding some uses that we could use. But other than that, we didn't really change the PD. And what that PD agreement had was this spine road to the property in the east. And not only did it say you had to put this road in, it required, and I don't, and Marcia was not the attorney at the time, by the way. I don't know how the city was going to require the adjacent property owner, and this gentleman might have some background on it, to join a property owners association and pay for a road. I mean, there's some equity there, but that person may not want to have a road. They might not want it, but if they were connected to it or something, that may have been part of some deal. We at Halifax didn't know anything about that, or at least I personally did not. So not sure what the genesis for all that was, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But we came, we bought it, we're on a mission to bring healthcare services to the community. It turns out that from an economic perspective, having to build that road right through the middle of the property, probably not being able to go get your neighbor to pay to join a property owners association if they didn't want to develop, who knows. It made it just economically not really feasible to develop the property. And so, and it created it just didn't make sense, quite frankly. And so we're here to have that removed. Mr. Griffin, he's the director of planning for the hospital, can talk to you if you care about it and want to hear. This is the old alignment. And this is Mr. Pfeiffer's, you had asked about the stormwater ponds. This has got the best real estate on this project, which is the frontage on Howland for stormwater ponds, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So when we get to actually platting the property and doing the development and doing the engineering for it, either it will be a combination of open ponds in each of the then existing the lots, or we'll also do some underground retention under the parking fields. French drain, if you will, or a combination thereof. And so that is the plan for the stormwater. But Halifax will take, can I use this, Jessica? Okay. That's the current idea. Lot 1, about 2.3 acres, that would be where Halifax or one of its entities would create a medical office, medical facility, about 20,000 square feet on one story, and we've got some schematic drawings of it, not schematic drawings, but the mock-ups of it. And Bill, correct me if I'll just talk for you. It's primary care, freestanding emergency care, perhaps some rotating specialty care, because there's probably not demand right now in this location, that area, for specialty care every day of the week. Did I miss anything? Okay. And so that would be it. And then in all likelihood, the uses on the other lots would be retail oriented. Now, when you get into we're very familiar. The engineer that did some worked on the platting was an engineer that was retained by Halifax back in, that 13, 14, I can't remember the exact year when we did it, sort of during a little bit of the downturn in the economy. And it may turn out that, say, Lot 4 ends up having to be stormwater there, or something on Lot 5 has to be stormwater. So we don't know the specifics of where the stormwater is. But Halifax is Lot 1. That's the medical lot, if you will. So that's it for the plan. In terms of the lift station, we're happy to give it to the government if there's a desire for the utility department to have it. Well, Phyllis, it's all yours. We'll put a bow on it. But no, we understood that it would be a privately owned lift station. That's fine by us. Yeah, sure. So that's what we're here. That's what we're here for, and I'm looking forward to finally getting it going. It's a decade since I first got involved with that particular piece of property, and I drive past there on 415 quite a bit, and it's a place that can use some medical services.
Okay.
I will add one thing, just in full candor. The rest of the development, to the extent that it's in private hands, whether it's medical or otherwise, the 2.3 acres, good chance that won't contribute to your employment, yes, but good employment, but tax base maybe not, because Halifax obviously is a governmental entity, and depending on how that shakes out.
There's a part that they're not going to develop?
They would develop the site and the infrastructure.
Right.
Lot 1, and I don't have the mock-up for you, would be about a 20,000 square foot, one-story facility, medical office, primary care, potentially freestanding emergency department within it, and imaging, I thought, and imaging. It's possible you put medical offices on it just depends what the demand is, but that's what would be.
But they're not looking to sell or have someone else develop. They are looking to sell.
When you say develop.
Well, I know the infrastructure development. I'm talking about raising, to have somebody else build a building. They're going to allow someone else to, they do a land lease or something, or?
On Lot 1.
I get that. That's where they're going to build.
That's going to be
So
medical.
What are they going to put 2 and 5 and 3 up for sale is what I'm asking, or are they
would
going?
probably have, yes, they would probably
They'll put the infrastructure in, I get it, but they're going to sell the lots for somebody else to put buildings or whatever.
There would be, in all likelihood, I'm not committing to anything. It would,
of course.
In all likelihood, they would sell those to get the money back that goes towards the infrastructure cost because they're nonprofit. We can't use tax revenues from the district to fund the development here. So yes, the sale proceeds from the other property.
Right.
Now, things happen and they say, well, we want to expand and actually use Lot 1 and 2, or
Right, they have that right, but as it's zoned, then there still could be retail. There
Absolutely.
Could be,
No. That is the plan. Is
the
there
way
would
that
be
it's
other
zoned.
private tax-paying.
And it would be coming back to us possibly, or we'll just be, if we agree to this, will it be?
So it's currently zoned.
We wouldn't,
Right
since
now.
the zoning, anything that's in the zoning could go there, right?
Currently, as we sit here today, if we do nothing,
If we don't change it, right?
it's zoned for retail and medical.
And And
thing that we are
another
doing,
office, yeah.
the thing that we are doing here, the reason for this application and your vote is to remove that requirement that you connect to the property to the east and that you somehow force, which I don't think you can do legally, that property owner to join your property owners association.
Right, yeah.
And so we really, in terms of development, and that was the plan, as far as I knew, from back in 2013, because our mission is to get medical services, because we would say we'd come to Deltona and do it, and we bought this property as part of that mission to get that, deliver some healthcare services in that part of the city.
Right.
Fund that in part by selling off the rest of the property. That's always been the plan. That remains the plan. We're just removing that piece. We made some other updates in the PD, but it doesn't change the use of the property.
And I'm still not quite understanding where the retention then, where if we've got rid of it, there were two retention locations, Lot 1 and Lot 4, right, or 3 or 4. So wouldn't there still need to be an area of retention, and that may still come out, you said, possibly in the back of Lot 5 or something?
Well, the retention in large part, I'm just a lawyer, I operate a number 2 pencil or pen for a living, but what the engineers tell me
You're much more than that.
is that you follow the contour of the land in terms of where you get stormwater. But in the conversations with the engineers that I've been privy to is that you may, when you develop those sites, you have to have parking fields. You can put stormwater under the parking fields. It's more expensive to do it that way than open, but it may be that the value of the property at this point in time justifies that additional expense. It could be, I'm a lawyer,
Well,
so.
yeah,
it
they're
could
going to
be,
leave it up to the new buyers.
as an example, that when we actually go to plat this, that Lot 4, ends up not being quite that big or that shape, or Lot 5, and we have to put some stormwater there. And just know that Halifax is adamant that they want Lot 1, and if they put stormwater under their parking lot, so be it, but that's where they want to have their building.
Right, yeah, they're just passing it down until they sell those and see what comes up with what else has to be built and what has to be.
They'll figure out the stormwater at the time of platting, because this will be platted. They will figure out the stormwater at that point in
Okay,
time.
thank you. Open to the board.
We just don't think, I just don't know that you're going to put the ponds and the most valuable real estate right up on Howland Boulevard.
Any questions, please? Board members say. Yes, Dr. Pfeffer.
It seems to me in the effort to keep your costs down and raise the revenue, you're taking the most environmentally sensitive land for this project, where there were natural drainage ponds and stuff, along Howland, and leaving the back for whatever. And there's animals that have to be relocated, there's forests. And from a town land use, we'd like it to have a barrier with trees and leave it natural. And in the back is where you'd have your hospital and whatever activities you have, sort of like the main hospital off Howland on the other end.
So I understood what you said. So this is not an effort to keep costs down. What we're doing here is for the purpose of removing that requirement that I keep talking about make this landowner join and have a road connect to it. I understand what you said. I'll just respectfully kind of disagree with that. I think if I drive down Howland Boulevard or any of the roads in Deltona or anywhere else for that matter, we want things to look nice, and I assure you Halifax's building will, you have architectural standards here. So they will look nice, and there are required buffers, and there will be required landscaping. A retention area will be barren, although there can be some trees along the perimeter of it. So nothing in the existing plan contemplates that there would be some tree preservation or natural preservation. Now, your code requires a certain percentage, is it 50? I don't know what percentage it is, but your code requires some percentage of tree preservation. So when they go to plat, what they will do is they'll have a whoever does the, checks the types of trees, and then a surveyor will go out and survey the trees. And I believe there might be one historic tree, kind of sort of where Lot 3 is, that may actually have to be saved. But they'll go out and examine where all the trees are, and they will save the required trees. But in large space, if you see where the if you look across the top and the bottom, you've got a landscape buffer and tree preservation. So they will. It might have to be a little bigger than that, or it could be a little bit smaller than that, but they will have to have tree preservation. But I don't think the plan there, or really anywhere else that you're developing in the city, is that we're going to hide everything that's on a main commercial corridor behind a row of existing trees. And if we put the stormwater there, we have to necessarily dig a hole in the ground and take out all of the vegetation. So we have, perhaps even a better opportunity to save trees by not digging a hole in the ground.
I mean, in a sense, we're the conservation board also in our, we care about that. It's
Oh, and I care about it too, Dr. Pfeiffer. I care about it too.
Well, I don't want to get in an argument who cares more. No, I'm in favor of using the land for what you're proposing. It doesn't seem right to me, the way you're doing it.
I can't imagine, they need to be found. Anyway, you don't want to hide the building by a bunch of trees. I mean, nobody's going to want to build on that if they never. In any construction, it'll look nicer being landscaped, I think. Once they put the building there, it'd be nicer to have it. You leave the trees and you want patients to find you, that's going to be a problem. Hiding the building, we don't do that anywhere. We don't hide the buildings anywhere.
We also have to remember, too, that once they do the construction, you've got the right-of-way, they've got to put in the sidewalks and all of that, so that's going to be set back even further. So you would lose that no matter what, as far as the trees go.
Yeah.
And then since this has already been pre-approved for this usage,
Yeah, but
it's
it's
just
up
a matter of,
to us now to do what we feel is correct.
yeah, it's just a matter of getting rid of that road that goes all the way across the property.
Unfortunately, that's not even really the issue here, though.
It's all irrelevant at that point. We're looking at a different matter here.
Yeah, they're not asking us whether we can allow them to build
No,
what they build there.
they're approved for all that, so.
That's
Yeah.
that's not what we're here
The
to
only thing
do.
existing is a 2013 map. So they're asking us to approve a change to the map, essentially.
Well, not on that part, though, not that way. I mean, I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
It's the land usage is what.
Yeah, so if I may, Dr. Pfeiffer, this may be helpful, because I sit routinely with folks like yourself on boards as a lawyer, and there are a bundle of rights that whether it's a public property owner like my client or a private property owner or just like the city, you have rules that you have to follow. And the rules are in a book, and the city has adopted them. Those are the rules, and they control development. And then beyond the rules, you have some flexibility of what you can require people to do, but it's not a blank canvas. We have to follow the rules, both the government and the property owners. And sometimes the government is the property owners, or is the property owner. So that's number one. And so following the rules, somebody before us developed this site, and for whatever reason, they came up with a plan that had the stormwater in the front. I assume the reason the stormwater was in the front was because that's the low point on the property.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's probably the low point on the property. I'm just guessing. I can't read the numbers. So that was the least expensive, cheapest way to get the stormwater in was to put it up there. But as Deltona has done a good job, I think, of developing, and you've seen a lot of development and growth at that end of Howland, which, way back then was a much less traveled area. That property didn't probably have the same value. So now it makes sense maybe to put the stormwater underground and do those things and maximize that potential. But as it sits right now today, if you developed under that plan, you would dig up necessarily every tree across the front of the property. Tree preservation would still be in the same place. In fact, this plan, I don't know that it calls out the tree preservation anywhere. It just wasn't called out, but it would have been in that crosshatch area or somewhere. And so we're not promoting, we're not asking you to approve anything at all that will be any different in terms of being able to preserve trees or remove trees. We're not asking for one iota of a change in that regard.
Yeah.
The only thing, well, I guess a couple of things. One is to change the layout a little bit, and two is to remove this requirement for a spine road and to somehow make somebody join a property owners association. I hope that helps. Might have just confused it.
The other thing on the two maps, is the road going to be narrower? I mean, when you show the new map,
I believe you have to have a certain amount of width in a corridor type of a street like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You do, and we'll meet whatever the code requirements is, and I will tell you, obviously, for our facility, although it's not, sometimes the ambulances show up, unfortunately. And so we've got very specific protocols for our location. But yeah, that'll meet all the requirements. You'll be able to get a fire engine and turn around a fire engine, however that needs to get set up. And
Yeah, the previous had the boulevard, the thing in the median in the middle of the road, I think, your other drawing.
And it may add it to this, I don't.
The previous drawing added in there, right?
Right.
See
And it will be reviewed during the plat process as well.
Yeah.
The tree survey will be required during the plat process, as well as where we're going to put stormwater and everything like that.
Ms. Jessica, do the plats come back to planning board?
No.
Okay. And are you good? Any other questions from the board? We haven't. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf? Please step up, state your name, who you're with, or where you live, or.
We have Mr. Mark Pell coming to the stand for public.
Mark Pell, 621 North State Road 415, Deltona. I printed off some maps that what I'd like to do. I think what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, we're missing the big picture, and we're missing it by a long shot. This whole area, the way that these pictures were in the packet that y'all got, all of these pictures do not show this shield-shaped parcel all the way to 415. Now, in the rest of that parcel, this is all zoned commercial. So this packet here does not identify what is left to be developed in this commercial district. Now, if I have permission, I've got two sheets. If I could give it to either end, if y'all would take a gander at what I've drawn.
Run out here. We can pass it by, so.
Can I ask for additional time? That's very important.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the other speakers too. I don't know how many else do we have to speak. Anybody else? I suppose we could grant you some extra time.
I personally would like to hear the input, because he was born and raised here like me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. All right, on the, like I say, all of the maps in here are short-sighted for what y'all are really looking at here. When you look at the big picture here, you've got this whole commercial district, Tractor Supply on the other end, that is zoned commercial. And as you look at the map, you'll see it. Now, we were required, when we did the Tractor Supply, we were required to dedicate an 80-foot easement from Howland Boulevard all the way up to Sand Lower Drive for water and utility easement and road access. To access, there's a 5-acre parcel due east of the church in there that is zoned for low-intensity residential right now, which we all know is going to go into this commercial district. So what I would like to do is another thing that was not included in the packet was a 2013 agreement that everybody's talking about taking this out of, taking that out of. Well, has anybody really read sections 4 through 9 or read the original agreement from 2013. What I'd like to do is highlight it, and on page 1 of the development agreement from 2013, in the middle of the page, it starts, whereas the owner-developer desires to facilitate the orderly development of the subject property in compliance with the laws and regulations of the city and other governmental authorities, and the owner-developer desires to ensure that development is compatible with other properties in the area and planned traffic patterns. And whereas the subject property fronts upon Howland Boulevard and the city, after consideration of certain traffic problems, has delineated certain requirements related to ingress and egress from the subject property and other adjacent properties in the area. And whereas it is the purpose of this agreement to clearly set forth the understanding and agreement of the parties concerning the matters contained herein. And then you've got 2, 3, 4, and then section 6 on the original agreement. Purpose of the access easement. Now, this is the one we're talking about doing away with. Now, this was part of the original development agreement that would not have flown without the purpose of section number 6, purpose of the access easement. The purpose of the spine road described in paragraph 5 above is to provide access to and from the subject property and to adjacent property to the east, hereinafter referred to as a benefited property. This easement will limit the number of curb cuts along Howland Boulevard as may be permitted by Volusia County and State Road 415 to a right-in, right-out only as may be permitted by FDOT. Now, to go back to the original, could you go back to the current land use map?
Well, we'll run that. I'm sorry. So you're for, you do not want to see this vacated?
No, sir, you're misinterpreting me.
Okay.
You're misinterpreting me. I have no problem with whatever they want to do with their development.
No, I didn't mean that, but I'm talking about the road. Are you you're saying you do not want to vacate that original agreement?
Absolutely, absolutely not, and I'll explain to you why. You were asking about how this got into such a mess with this landowners agreement and all this stuff. Number one, you would have to know the players in the 2013 deal. Now, that would suffice as why this got so complicated and so sticky. The parcel down in the lower right-hand corner there is the Leahy property, which at one time they were planning on, that group was planning on picking up. So of course they're not going to benefit that piece of property without them extracting blood out of it, and that's why you've got this complicated little section 4 through 9 in the original development agreement on sharing for the cost. Now, that being said, what you're looking at right now, my opposition, what you're looking at right now is here we are on the east end of Howland Boulevard, and we're at a major signalized intersection, and you're wanting to run that you're wanting to allow that major signalized intersection to run 200 feet and come to a dead end. Now, if you look at the map that I've supplied you, the talk with the planners in the past has been for internal access roads, which is what this is describing here, from the signalized interchange all the way to 415. And the whole section to be developed in a successful manner for the city in a major BPUD.
And Halifax would be paying for that?
No, sir. Halifax only, the way that normal easements work is you're only going to pay for, you're obligated to pay for it to your property line. The next guy picks up from there. We just did it at the feed store.
That's what I was going to point out.
Yes, sir. And so no, Halifax is not eating the bill all the way to 415. And of course, that the alignment of that road will vary as to whoever picks up the remainder of the commercial in there and how they decide to split it up as to where it comes out onto 415, which will more than likely be halfway the distance between Fort Smith and Howland Boulevard with either a right-in, right-out or a full median cut.
Yes, the exact location of the cross-access will be determined at the time of the site plan approval for the earlier of Lot 3 or 4.
Yes, sir.
Its cross-access shall be divided and the requirements related to the same shall be determined time. Well, I apologize, Mr. Pell. I'm not sure exactly what your argument is then that if you're wanting the next development, that's the way I was going to point out, wouldn't the next development for your land, when you sell that or they want to develop it, then they'd have to tap into that road.
How can we tap into that road? It stops at lot number 5.
Well, you have all of, okay, so you think it should at least go through lot number 5?
It should go to the property line, to the 80-foot easement that we've already given to the city.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yes.
Your argument, okay.
That easement needs to go all the way to the property line of that 80-foot easement that runs north to south, and it's already a utility easement.
Or at least needs to be allocated, that it will be.
Yes, to shut that, to block that access road off short of that 80-foot easement is absolutely ridiculous. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Well, if they sell Lot 5, then whoever bought Lot 5 would have to deal with that also.
No,
but
sir.
As long as it's if we have it in the agreement.
It's in the agreement now.
That's what.
You haven't made any changes. The agreement is that there's a cross-access easement, and it's there for a purpose, and the purpose is to keep the traffic off and to go from the signalized interchange all the way across to 415. Now, that was the agreement in 2013. Now, this group is wanting to go 200 feet and put a stop sign. This cannot be allowed to happen. That is my point. This easement cannot end on Lot 5. It has to go all the way to the east side to their property line.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for, I think I understand it now.
I have just a little bit more, if you don't mind.
If you would, yeah.
I have no objection.
Where does he want the easement?
He just wants it to go through Lot 5 to the end.
Go back to the old one,
The way it was.
2013, please.
All right. And I would like to hear from Attorney Elkine on this.
Yeah, me too.
That would mean that he had joined the property to be part of it.
Is your property adjacent to Lot 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's his property where it stops. Right.
Dr.
This is
Pfluger,
his property.
that is the way the original easement was proposed, and what we're talking about doing is cutting it in half
Right.
with this new amendment, and that's what I don't want to see happen. We have no problem with Halifax Health developing their parcel with a BPUD whatsoever. The consequences of removing this cross easement they're going to be insurmountable for the city. This is a major, major mistake. For whatever reason they're trying to do it, I have no idea, but this cannot be allowed to happen. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and it's already been agreed to in the development agreement, and specifically specifies why that easement is in there. It's for the benefit of the whole commercial parcel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on one second. If I may, Mr. Chair, since it's quasi-judicial, I'm going to ask Mr. Pell a question. So in this 2013 agreement that you're very familiar with, apparently.
Correct.
It requires.
Could you get up by the microphone there so we can get it recorded? Yeah.
I don't know if I
You got to get up there that's what they were getting ready to tell us, I think.
This easement, the adjoining property owner, that's you?
Correct, one of them.
And what that 2013 agreement says is that the adjoining property owner, and that would be you or one of them.
We were not included in that agreement. That
But
pertained to the Leahy piece.
no, this agreement, do you own the property where that easement would end?
Yes.
Okay, well, the 2013 agreement, in no uncertain terms, requires that piece of property to join a property owners association on our property. That's the agreement. If we leave it as it is, are you willing to join the property owners association and pay as per the agreement for your pro rata share of constructing that road now
That
for the
would be
benefit of the city?
on my side.
Okay. That's
And well, we've already done this up on Tractor Supply and had to go in an agreement with
We'll get to
Tractor
that
Supply.
next. I'll get to that next. You sold the property to Tractor Supply, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can I pull up an aerial somewhere on here? Here.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get the whole property so you can, can I go just to the internet on this, or is there a way to pull up, or is your picture over there have the?
Yes, it does, the whole area.
Okay.
Here, did you see it?
I did, but here's what I want to.
Go ahead, sorry.
So, is this all your property here, the whole thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the easement, as you know, is right here, correct?
Correct.
For Tractor Supply, not here?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's the existing easement.
Is there a way to bring that up on a viewer?
Put it overhead.
Sorry.
Well, I got the same thing on Google Earth right there.
Give us just 1 second.
1, 2 seconds. I can't do it from that side, sorry. I'm already in Google.
Google Maps?
120.
All right.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm sorry.
No, that's,
So,
should help us all. There we
okay,
go.
so
Ariel.
the easement, and Mr. Pell, correct me if I'm wrong, there is currently an easement because this gentleman or family sold the site where the Tractor Supply
And
is.
it has a,
Yeah, and it has a driveway here, and the easement, you'll see where the road dead ends, right here.
Right here.
Can you see on the screen, can you see my
Where the
little
arrow's at.
cursor there? Right there?
Yeah.
That's where the easement goes, right, Mr. Pell?
No, it does not.
It does not go there?
It does not. That's where Tractor Supply ended their property line for future expansion. The easement is actually on the south side of that.
looks like they have a little abutment right after you enter in there on the,
That is Tractor Supply property.
right there, well, right there, yeah.
And who's the easement from? Tractor Supply, correct?
That is Tractor Supply's that's actually their turnaround for their semis to unload in the back of their store.
We can pull up the easement because I've read it and show, and the easement is from Tractor Supply to the Pells. And it can only be over the Tractor Supply property because they wouldn't need an easement over their own property. And
can't go up to
so
450.
first of all, this, and you show the turn on here on the document that you all have here, this idea of a road cutting straight through, well, that's not what they did when they sold the property to Tractor Supply. The access would be really circuitous to get through there. And I understand as the property owner there, you want other people to provide access to your property. And from a long-term planning perspective, there's some wisdom to that so that you can open up that property. But everybody needs to pay their fair share. And the first question that I asked was, are you willing, as it sets forth in that agreement, to participate financially in the cost of construction of the road? Because this is not a
Number one.
for-profit enterprise.
Did I say no?
You said that's for this property, and I'm only going to pay.
Did I say no?
Yes, sir, you did.
I did not.
You said I'll pay on my property.
That's your interpretation.
So you're willing to pay for the cost of construction of the road on our property?
Everybody knows that if you're going to do a BPUD on this other half of this property, that whoever does the BPUD and the developer pays for that section of the road.
Will you give us an easement through your property to connect to where we need to put these?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right.
You,
Absolutely.
Free of charge.
More than likely, yes.
Anyways.
that is a loaded question, is it not?
You'll be talking with some of your
Although,
friends on that.
I mean, but my understanding is your biggest issue is it just going through Lot 5 and stopping at your property.
That's all we need.
That's what, but, and I'm not sure exactly, whoever develops Lot 5 will have to, wouldn't they have to add to the street, the road?
No, sir, here's what happens. If we take up developable space for Lot 5, so now where you've got a big space, you now have two small spaces. And
Well, that's true. You're splitting it right down the middle.
let's.
But you could reconfigure,
Hang on, I'm talking now.
No.
You can.
Hang on, gentlemen.
You can, I don't mean to be rude, but we'll talk one at a time. You're splitting it up, so it affects the value of it, there's no question about it. We're not a for-profit entity, but we do want to maximize the sale price of everything to pay as much as we can for the cost of this development. Development, as you know, is expensive. If it goes through Lot 5, the road only has to get built to Lot 5, not all of the way, in theory. If it goes through Lot 5, and they wouldn't have to build it necessarily if they could access or they build part of the way. But here's the issue. They then sell to whoever they're going to sell to that's going to develop this property, and now there's a road that is either built when Lot 5 gets developed or, is already built. And free of charge, they get to come in and use that road. They're not proposing to build their own road out to 415. The easement layout where the Tractor Supply is doesn't line up in the way that he's drawn it, just FYI. And what I'm saying to you is the way the agreement is written currently, and it requires this gentleman, but legally they couldn't do it to you. There's no way we could make you join our property owner. We just couldn't. They would have to join the property owners association and be responsible for the cost of construction of this whole road, which is why I asked the question. And his response was, well, I'll pay for my piece of it in the agreement provided to was it the Leahys down there?
Right.
So I understand that. I understand that if I was in your shoes, I'd be arguing the exact same thing. I would darn sure want my neighbor to, free of charge, put in a road for me so that I can maximize the value of the property when I go to sell it. That's a no-brainer, I get it. There is not going to be, when we talk about it shooting yourself in the foot because we're going to have a road that goes 200 feet to nowhere, it's basically an entrance. That's exactly what happens on the other side. It goes to a Walmart parking lot.
and comes out on 415.
So this is not a place where you need a cut-through from the Walmart out to 415 because there's a signalized intersection. So I'm gonna be quiet because I'm probably being a real master of the obvious on some things. I understand your position, sir, and you're welcome to call me anytime. We'll be happy to talk with you and be good neighbors to you as we are. But let's just be clear on what the facts are.
On the configuration of the BPUD, and he's talking about running through Lot 5 and the road being right through the middle. The only lot that Halifax Health is interested in is up in the corner next to the church. They can take they can run that road right through that middle of that, and they could take and reconfigure Lot 5 and turn it back towards Howland Boulevard and still get a 5-acre piece by just reconfiguring. It's not going to take, all it's going to take out is the square footage of the road for 200 feet. It's a very minimal amount. But the fact of the matter is that that cross easement is in there for a reason. And it's in there for the master plan on the whole commercial district in there. This is not in the best interest of the city of Deltona or for this commercial district to be functional with cross easements.
I have a question.
That's a Merv's opinion.
No question.
Okay,
We all
I know
have
she does
questions?
too. Go ahead. We'll come down the line.
Okay. I have a question for the attorney that's representing the Advent Health.
Mr. Elkite, Halifax hat.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So you're presently looking at 4 lots that you would be able to sell.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's okay.
If you start over.
So based on your newly configured master development plan, you would have 4 remaining lots to sell.
Yeah, it could be 3, but sure. Yeah, the remaining property would be
Okay.
available to be sold.
Okay. Would you not make more money by selling 5 lots and having a road run through here so that you could then provide access to the northern parcel as well as the southern parcel?
100% not.
Why not?
You're having, so there's a value to the size of the parcel. So when you're talking about the rare parcel, on a, and I don't know the sizes, but a Starbucks can go on a pretty small lot, but they need to be right up on the road. They're not going to be, they wouldn't ever be in the back. So when you start getting smaller and smaller parcels, there's a more limited pool of people. So having this variety, so no, we would not make more money. to answer your question succinctly. I'm not a real estate expert, so I couldn't tell you all the reasons why, but no, we're giving up land that we don't need, that we would not make. I'm rambling, but no, we would not make more money. Did you have another question that I missed?
Yeah.
No, I just respectfully disagree.
Okay.
That I think that you could potentially keep the road and turn this lot into 2 lots, and you would then have
We could do it.
4 or 5 lots to sell instead of 4 lots. And then you've already provided access to this lot, which then increases the sales price because it's not landlocked.
Which
Depends on
sales
what you
price-
do with it.
Excuse me, sales price, which one?
Been Lot 5.
All of-
Lot 5,
all of
she's-
them.
It could be sold to, someone might want to put a whole big strip center back there, and they don't want that cut in half. As just an example, they're wanting to, they
Well,
could potentially,
they could-
when you
they
do
could
that,
use
now
that.
they are limited to selling 2 smaller lots.
And let me say
instead of
one more
big.
thing. Part of this is
Cuts it
just
right
about
down.
what's fair. That landowner to the east, they might not, they haven't developed since the 2013 deal, apparently, that they were, that got done. I'm not familiar with all of that. And they haven't developed since then. The only thing that's developed out there is the tractor supply. And so it may be another, that road may never go to the east. So that Lot 5 or 2 Lot 5s may still well be landlocked and still have the same road. There's no guarantee that they're going to put it all the way through. Now, this gentleman said he would be willing to give an easement for that, but not participate in the cost of constructing the road. So as it exists today, if we leave it alone, somehow he has to join. I'm not sure why the city wrote it that way. I can't speak to it, and I'm not sure if this gentleman was, familiar with those
Even a part of it,
conversations.
yeah.
But the way it's written is they participate in the cost of the construction of the road, and they join our property owners association, and that's not fair to them. It's America. You get to do what you want. You get to do within reason what you can do with your property, and you certainly don't have the ability to make your neighbor develop his property. Now, I get that you probably plan on selling this for commercial development. You've talked about that whole area becoming commercial, and that's fine. But I don't think it's our responsibility to provide access to a piece of property from Howland Boulevard that may or may not ever develop in the future.
As of today, it is.
It is going to develop?
It is your responsibility. When you bought that piece of property, you accept that you bought this development agreement.
And it
As is.
requires you to join an HOA, so if that's our POA.
I
don't know how that works.
Mr. Pill's going to worry too much about what the cost of that might be. But, Vice Chair Burke, you had a question?
Yeah, my question's for the city.
Are you done? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
My question's for the city.
Could you please talk to them? Yeah.
My question's for the city. Why is it to the city's benefit to make the modification? Other than the standard language that we have in our reports, from a practical point of view, why is it in our interest? Because as far as I'm concerned, my concerns are that of the city. And so if it's in our city's best interest to do so, then I'd like to know what those benefits are.
Right.
Let me start with the city, and then after Chief me.
So the way that they're doing it will allow commercial uses to come in, which is we need the commercial uses. And the way that they're set up, like he said, Halifax might need the other lot next to them. So the 2 front lots on Howland could potentially join each other and have a bigger retail use as well. Because we do a combination of lots, and then you could have a huge user in the back. So we're not splitting that back property. You could have a larger retail store or anything like that go in the back.
And is that in the city's best interest, or is it having the ability to cut across to 415, something from a long-term development point of view for the city? Is that in our best interest? I mean, why are we willing, why is your office recommending that we make these changes? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I don't mean to. I'm trying, okay, let the attorney.
I'm sorry. I could give you just a little background. In fairness to Ms. Entwistle, she was very helpful. This got thrown in her lap after it was already halfway down the road because some folks left. We came in and talked with the city administration and said, here's what makes sense. Here's why I would tell you it's in the city's best interest, and it'd be much different than those reasons. the city may at some point in the far future, if and when this property owner decides to develop or sell their property for development, might do this cross through their property. I don't know that they'll be able to do the north-south one, and I don't know that the residents to the north would want that, and it's too close to the intersection, so the county and the DOT wouldn't allow that crossroad. I don't know that on 415 you need a cut through this area from 415 to get over to that signalized intersection. Do you have the map? 2 points. Do you have that?
I don't have that map.
Yeah.
I have what we've been providing.
Would like to see happen. What he's telling you is the benefit to the city, if I can approach you.
Sure. Thank you.
And I,
The south one is not gonna go in, but the east-west one, which would be, that's not on our property anyways.
Yeah,
The
make sure.
east-west one.
Sorry.
The east-west one,
Anyone else like to see?
there's no benefit to the city.
I know what it is.
It's the same one we have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Burke, there's no benefit to the city, and I don't know that 415, the DOT would even allow that to go in. But there's no benefit to having that cut through from 415 to go to the light at Howland. The only people that really need to use that if they're not going to this property are the folks that for some reason didn't want to wait for the light at 415 and thought they could get through faster. It doesn't serve a traffic circulation purpose. It does. Well, it does to somebody who wants to develop that piece of property, who has access right on 415 and made Tractor Supply allow them to use that same curb cut that's already on 415. So this benefits no one but that property owner. The second piece is, here's what, we make no profit. Nobody I get paid for my time, but nobody at the hospital gets a return on investment.
Yeah, out of the mic again. I'm so sorry. Our sound people are coming home and out the door. Ah!
Apologize. Nobody's getting a profit here. This is another governmental entity. We're on a mission to, obviously we own the property, and we spent money on the property. It's not affecting what anybody gets paid that works at the hospital. We signed an agreement. We said that we would bring healthcare services to the city, and we wanted to do that since 2013. Now, the economy had a little bit to play in it. The man had some play in it. But the benefit to the city of doing this is this project with that requirement, and one that we really can never do, because how are we going to make him join our property owners association? We can't do it. And the benefit to the city is that you get health care services here now, which, whether that's important to you or not, I don't know, but that's what the city, at least at some point, had asked us to do. And that's the benefit to the city. The thing that the city, I guess, would lose by removing this is that you don't get that that theoretical cut-through road from 415 out to Howland that makes no sense from a traffic circulation perspective. Now, there is a disadvantage to this gentleman next to me, and I'm going to be honest about it. Of course there is. Of course he wants. I don't begrudge you that. I'd want it too if I were him. I understand that.
Well, if we could, I understood. Anybody, did you have a question for Mr. Alk? I'm sorry, we're going to move it. I'm going to let Mr. Pell say his last saying in a minute, but.
Can I add something?
Oh, yes, you were.
So I think it's also important to note that there are different uses that we have coming to the city or could come to the city than we did in 2013. We've grown a lot since 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of different, okay.
Thank you.
Are you?
So they can't do what they want to do with the way this is written right now, is that true? Like with him, the agreement that he has to join their association, has to pay for the road, has to do all this stuff, they cannot build or sell anything that they want with the way it's written right now, is that correct?
Not exactly. We have a representative from Halifax Health. If you'll give him the mic, Mr. Pell, just a second.
My name is Bill Griffin.
He was sworn in, so.
And my home address is 6193 Shoreline Drive in Port Orange. I've been with Halifax for 41 years. the question you asked is, the big issue is this: we can't develop this property with the cost to build this road as it's outlined for the 2013, whatever the term is, BPUD, and we have tried 3 different times to work on getting the design and the construction costs for the infrastructure in place so we could build our facility. But because we're required to build this entire road that we don't benefit from whatsoever, and then basically give it to the adjoining property owner, we're just not able to do anything. So we're kind of at a standoff here that if we don't get some relief, it'll just sit there like it is, and you won't have any kind of a road. And I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. And Mr. Pell, we've allotted you more than enough time, and I'll let you say one more thing if you can,
appreciate
please.
that.
And I see your frustrations, but
No, we're good. We're good. Actually, all these comments that are being made about they're the only game in town, actually, we've had several developers trying to buy Halifax Health out to put this whole parcel together at one time. And they decided that they were going to go ahead and do their own development to maximize their income, their return on this project. So there is huge interest in this whole commercial district here. This stops it. Cutting this road off stops the commercial district, cuts off the potential of this whole commercial development.
I don't see
Now, it's future land use that we're talking about. We're not talking about current situations that we're going to sweep under the rug today. We're talking long range here. And that's what this agreement from 2013 was long range planning with the cross easement.
it's been long range.
Sorry?
It's been long range, 10 years.
How about 472?
It started
How much
in
is built up?
2009, if I remember correctly.
How much is built up at 472? It's not built out. A lot left up there. So this area is growing. Seminole County's built out. We're next.
Yep.
Please.
I don't see that.
Please vote this ordinance down as written. It needs to be redone, and the cross easement needs to stay in their new development order. They reconfigure however they want.
Thank you. I think your point has been well taken. Thank you. And Mr. When I see us, we'll let you one more time here.
Thank you. Bill Griffin here.
We're going to vote on it.
I'd like to correct something that was just stated, that some developer has come and tried to work with us to buy the entire parcel and join it to the adjoining property. We have never received any kind of an offer like that. There was a discussion that somebody might have an interest, but we never did receive an offer.
I'm familiar with that. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
I also have one other thing. I'm sorry.
Pardon?
I have one other thing.
Yes, please, Jessica.
We have the pre-application board with the planning department that has multiple people from the city on the board, and we have not had anything other than 2 items come in this area for a pre-application.
Yes.
So I just want to let you guys aware of that. One was over by Fort Smith, and one was at the corner of 415 in Howland.
Yes, I'm familiar with that one. Okay.
And we have a proven track record. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Sorry. We have put our money where our mouth is.
In Deltona, yes.
We have put our money where our mouth is.
Oh, I think it's needed out there, and I think that, and I know the other place already has property out on Doyle Road, and they're not doing anything with it. I'd like to see an ER or something like that come out there, but that's just me. All right, so let's move this to, if any comments, please explain yeah, Dr. Pfeffer, you have something else you'd like to input?
Normally when a development comes in, we have neighbors, there's been some consultation between the developer and the neighbors, hopefully, and things have been worked out to some extent. It seems to me like, the conversation between you and Mr. Pell is kind of, you're going to pay for this, you're not going to pay. It was so vague that I think you should, I'm reluctant to change an easement that was carefully negotiated when we don't have all the facts or history of it. And I wish you could meet with Mr. Pell and see if it's possible to get an agreement and come back to us. Because, our job is also to try to protect the existing plans, which were approved for some reason. One of the problems with where we are now in the turnover of staff is we've lost our living history of what developments are coming in and what's not, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Change happens. This is a different year, a different economy, and a different development.
I'd be happy if you could resolve it before we vote. That's my feeling.
Well, that's not. We're not. I don't think we're able to do that with this. I suppose we could table it, but I'm not in agreement with that unless anybody else is. My concern is these matters for consideration that we have on the board, and none of these fall in that consideration. Does it affect in the area? Is it affect the public health, safety, or welfare? Whether it's consistent with all adopted elements of the comprehensive plan, it is. Its impact upon the environment or natural resources,
Yeah, but it's
those type of things.
It's got to be.
It's one person.
It's clearly not consistent with the previous plan.
Well, that's
there's no
debatable,
argument about that.
Dr. Pfeiffer. We don't know the board that was at that time, or not only the planning board, but the commissioners that adopted this back 10 years ago. It was a totally different group of people and a totally different there could be how do you go back there and revisit all of what their thinking was on doing this other than Mr. Pell's input, and he owns the property besides, so I understand his concern. I get it, but I look at it as also a devalue. I see that as a devalue of the property in that back area. Anybody can put the road, it's going to get put, if it gets split, maybe then the road can get built that way. The road, when it gets up to that point, if Mr. Pell sells his property, then that developer could come up to that point and maybe up to that lot. Maybe then it'll come before us, of course, and the board and their commission to finish the road at that time. I think we need to vote on it. Let's just do that and see where we are, and please explain your reasoning for it.
We need a motion first.
We need a motion first, please. Yes, for yay or nay.
If I can jump here real quick, something I've never understood is why the access road was ever there. What was the purpose for ever putting this access road here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Back 10 years ago, the people that made that decision, how do you go back to their thought process?
You can't, but you got Fort Smith a few blocks away that gets you right out to, I never have got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody like to make a motion?
I am going to have to make a motion on this. I'm going to have to go with staff recommendations for all I've heard here.
Please speak in the mic there, Russ.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with staff recommendations. I recommend that we
make a motion.
I will make a motion that we forward this to City Council, ordinance number 012024, amending the Bella Vista BPUD by removing sections 4 through 9, making changes to section 14 through 17 in the development agreement and the overall master development plan.
Second.
We have a motion to approve this in a second. May we take a roll call, a vote, and a reasoning?
Member Gonzalez?
I knew it was going to be first. I'm torn on this one because I do see what both sides are talking about, but I'm going to have to go with voting to approve the changes, because I think future down the road, it can be worked out for the access road, and we can deal with that when we cross it. Mr. Pell, I understand what you're talking about, but I think we can work with getting an access road to Lot 5 from the property once it's. So I'm voting to approve the changes.
Thank you. Dr. Pfeffer.
Well, not being in the best of health, the idea of having an emergency and a good hospital as close to this as outweighs anything else. So I'm going to vote yes.
Sorry. That wasn't my place. Go ahead.
Member Sixma.
I'm sorry? Who?
Member Sixma.
He made the motion.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Motion, yeah.
I'm just going down the road.
But he still didn't vote, so say you're approved.
Oh, yeah,
And you
yes.
say your reasons, okay?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Alternate Cardo.
I have to agree that this is a really difficult decision to make because I can see both sides of this. So I'm not really taking this vote lightly. But I do have to agree with staff's recommendations that it is consistent with the comp plan, impacts with regards to environmental and natural resources, and all of the other matters for consideration as represented by staff, so I'm voting aye.
Secretary Amoroso. Approve.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
You're up.
I vote yes, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I think it would be okay. Would be a little different if both parties were willing to do what they agreed to at the beginning to build the road and he pay his part and be part of the property association. But since that's not happening, I agree with this.
Vice Chair Burke.
I vote to approve the motion. My basic point is consistent with my questioning. What's in the city's best interest? The land has not been developed, and the reason that it's been presented to us, which has not been disputed, is because the applicant could not afford to build the road, and therefore the property could not be developed. I think that's critical here. We want to develop Deltona. And in addition to that, and equally important, is that it meets the considerations which are before us. That is, that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the request does not add any land or changes any usage of the land itself, and therefore I would rule in favor of the motion.
Okay.
Chair Alexander.
I also agree and approve with the motion to allow the amendment request for all the good reasons that these fine board members said, and I do empathize with you, Mr. Pell. I see this area still taking a long time to develop. Maybe you could sell your partial before they sell their lots, and we can revisit it at that time. You'll get the road built up to that lot 5 or something. But I don't see it as being so detrimental to your property at this time. I'd like to see Halifax get something built there, and also some other potential tenants to buy these other lots and get some more development going, and maybe that back parcel will get something really even bigger. We're all in favor, it appears. Unanimous vote. And if there's nothing else to be said, I'm going to adjourn. If someone will make a motion to adjourn.
Something, if I can.
I have
Oh, I
staff
thought there
comments.
Pardon?
I also have staff comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staff comments.
Sorry about that. We do have a meeting in December. It is December 20th. I wanted to get the consensus of the board to see if you guys were okay with moving it a week earlier, because I know people do make plans for the holidays, so that would move it to December 13th. I just want to make sure everyone was okay with it, or if they had any conflicts.
December 13th, I think I got a conflict.
I have a conflict. I was willing to work around my conflict, but if everyone else has a conflict.
No conflict.
Would everyone be okay with coming in on the 20th then?
I'm for moving it, but earlier the better to me. I'm
retired, I don't do anything.
I love it.
Is there any other opposed? I mean, other than, how many are in favor of moving it?
Let me see.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have a comment? No, I meant Mr. Doug. Okay. So
Okay.
So we only have a couple people. Do we have quorum? We got alternates, right?
I don't know if I can get out of mine. I'll try, but you're going to move it to the 13th?
Yes.
I'll see if I can change. Otherwise, I'll let you know.
And then we can send out an email tomorrow just reminding you guys, once we have everything finalized, that we'll be moving it.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
And you'll send us, all right, okay, obviously.
Also, one other comment I'd like to make about the case that we just heard is, remember, we're just making the recommendation to city council.
Still has to go to the council.
It still has to go to the city commission, so there's
Commission,
still
that's
time for Mr.
So we have another chance, Mr.
Still
Bell.
time for Mr. Pell and Halifax to talk in between that, so.
Mr. Pellman, that'd be a great thing if you and Halifax could get together and come up with a
Good luck
agreement
with it.
of some sort where you both agree on how you can proceed with the future of these properties. I mean, I know it's been mentioned before, but I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
And then come to the council again and let them, you guys discuss it with them. But I see where it could be worked out in the future if that Lot 5 is sold and it turns into asphalt anyhow. There's no problem with putting a road on the other side to take you out through the parcel that you want to go ahead and sell.
Now back there.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you guys could get together before this gets.
Yeah, Darren, that would help if you guys could.
I've asked the first phone number, so.
Okay.
Good.
Before it went back to the city commission,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Well, I've been cleaning up and asking his phone number, so I'm just waiting.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what we like to hear.
Okay, any other board member comments?
Thanks to the city, I'm sorry.
Yes, thanks, girl.
I respect you guys' opinion, so.
And thanks for all that.
Any other board comments? Closing. A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. We're adjourned.